Nuclear blackmail on American soil. That's the charge being leveled at Pakistan Army Chief Asim Munir after a shocking threat made in Florida. At a private dinner hosted in his honor, Munir warned of destroying Indian dams with 10 missiles, linking a water dispute to nuclear war. But the roots of this outburst lie in Pakistan's decades old playbook: state sponsored terrorism, global intimidation, and military rule that thrives on chaos. This week on Newsweek South Asia, we report on how a dinner in Tampa became a warning shot for the entire world.
Pakistan's Army Chief Asim Munir was in Tampa, Florida, attending events surrounding the retirement ceremony of the CENTCOM commander. What should have been a routine diplomatic engagement instead turned into an international flashpoint. But instead of a diplomatic exchange, the evening turned into an international security crisis. Munir warned that India's suspension of parts of the Indus Waters Treaty could lead to starvation for millions in Pakistan and threatened that any Indian dam on the Indus River would be destroyed with 10 missiles. Declaring that Pakistan had no shortage of missiles, Munir linked a bilateral water dispute directly to the possibility of a regional and even global nuclear conflict. The Indus Waters Treaty, signed in 1960 and brokered by the World Bank, is one of the few agreements that has survived multiple wars between the two nuclear-armed neighbors. But India's recent move to place it in abeyance was a direct response to Pakistan's decades of cross-border terrorism, from the 2001 Parliament attack to the 2008 Mumbai attacks to the 2019 Pulwama bombing and the recent Pahalgam massacre that led to the killings of 26 innocent lives. By bringing nuclear weapons into this dispute, Munir has further weaponized Pakistan's terror-driven hostility towards India.
I find it a very irresponsible statement, and I find it also, I beg your pardon for using this language for a general, but I find it stupid. You have an issue with India. Of course, you have a nuclear deterrence with India, which is for you, for Pakistan, the great equalizer. But at the same time, if you're threatening half of the world, which has nothing to do with it, I find that stupid from his perspective, because I think Pakistan is in need of more friends in the world instead of enemies. By threatening half of the world, I think he's doing his country a big disfavor. And a general who is all powerful, who's a field marshal, I think he should use much more responsible language, especially when he is on the soil of a third country.
India's Ministry of External Affairs responded sharply, calling the remarks nuclear sabre-rattling and the stock in trade of Islamabad. Spokesperson Randir Jaiswal said the comments reflect the irresponsibility inherent in Pakistan's leadership and warned that such rhetoric only heightens global concern over nuclear command and control in a state where the military is in hand-in-glove with terrorist groups. That hand-in-glove relationship is no secret. Pakistan's military and its intelligence arm, the ISI, have for decades nurtured and deployed terror outfits Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed and the Haqqani network as strategic assets. These groups have killed thousands across India and Afghanistan while enjoying safe havens inside Pakistan. Even Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden was found living undisturbed in Abbottabad, just meters away from Pakistan's premier military academy.
If you look at the recent statements of, for example, Mr. Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, he has accepted that this has been part of Pakistan's, formation since the Afghan Jihad. And yes, in the Afghan Jihad, Pakistan supported Mujahideen at that time on the behest of the West. And afterwards, Pakistan started nurturing these terrorists in order to use it for its policy of strategic depth against India and against Afghanistan. And that Osama bin Laden was found in Abbottabad, I think that is now almost 13-14 years ago. Even then, the US has had a reasonably good relationship with Pakistan, because let's not forget, in this region, Pakistan is the US's proxy. And the US knew for a very long time that Pakistan was playing a double game. Pakistan was using funds of the US in order to nurture those terrorists which were fulfilling its policy of strategic depth against Afghanistan and against India. And at the same time, it was using those funds in order to counter those terrorists which at some point of time became anti-state of Pakistan.
Munir's Florida threat has also caused ripples in Washington. Michael Rubin, a former Pentagon official, compared his language to that of ISIS and Osama bin Laden.
And India is right to stand up for its rights.
He argued that Pakistan's status as a major non-NATO ally should be revoked and that the country should instead be considered for designation as a state sponsor of terrorism, a move that could freeze military aid and impose sweeping sanctions.
Pakistan's threats on American soil are completely unacceptable. Pakistan is raising questions in many people's minds about whether it can fulfill the responsibilities of being a state or whether the time has come for it to end. In many ways, Pakistan's rhetoric, the field marshal's rhetoric, is reminiscent of what we've heard from the Islamic State and from Osama bin Laden. This should not stand. There is absolutely no reason anymore why the United States should consider Pakistan a major non-NATO ally. In fact, Pakistan may become the first major non-NATO ally to become listed as a state sponsor of terrorism on the same day.
Pakistan's generals have a long history of using brinkmanship to divert attention from domestic crisis, whether it's political instability, economic collapse, or international isolation over their terror sponsorship. Analysts say this latest episode is a dangerous escalation of that playbook where desperation drives nuclear blackmail. It also signals to the world that Pakistan's nuclear arsenal is not in the hands of prudent statesmen but of military leaders who have openly embraced terror groups as partners. In recent years, Pakistan's military has faced growing global criticism from FATF scrutiny over terror financing to UN reports linking Pakistani soil to jihadist recruitment. Munir's outburst in Florida only reinforces the image of a nuclear-armed state whose greatest export is instability.